I've lost sleep over the wrong pistol. It doesn't matter what you hear at the shop or from your buddies. Sometimes you trade away a gun because some forum told you to, or you chase a best of the year and wind up with a safe queen you can't stand to shoot. I've been that guy, driving home with a new piece and this quiet pit in my stomach, knowing I just swapped trust for hype. The worst sting? Watching a buddy run circles with a pistol I let go. He's grinning, and I'm standing there, wishing I could roll back the clock. What took me years to admit is that a few pistols survive that regret. You doubt them, you question them, you almost move on, but they earn their way back into your carry rotation. These aren't the guns that won the internet or got the influencer's stamp. They're the ones that held up when pride was on the line. When I wanted to quit trusting my gut, but couldn't let go. The last pick nearly broke me. Miss it, and you'll never know what regret really feels like. It was late summer, right before 2026 really kicked off. One of those Texas days where the sun cooks the range till every polymer pistol feels like it's melting in your hands. Every bench was stacked with the newest polymer kid handguns, guys showing off their 2025 must-haves and arguing over slide cuts and fancy triggers. I wasn't planning on making any kind of statement. The Canik MC9 Prime barely made it into my bag. Just a backup, something to loan out if someone forgot theirs. By the time the sun was really cooking the benches, my usual go-to started gumming up. Dust, sweat, maybe just bad luck. I grabbed the Canik with a shrug, thinking it'd last a few strings at best. Instead, the thing just kept going. Mag after mag, no jams, no hiccups, just smooth and boringly reliable, while everyone else was shaking their heads over stovepipes and gritty resets. That's when the sideways glances started. Guys who mocked the Canik earlier were suddenly lining up to run a mag. By the end of the day, nobody cared where it was made. They just wanted to shoot it. Funny how a gun you almost left at home can change what you trust. In 2026, the Canik MC9 Prime still isn't flashy, but it's earned its place. I was just looking to kill time. There's a strip mall coffee shop in Waxahachie I hit when I'm passing through. And right next door, this old school gun store. Nothing fancy, just racks of hunting rifles and dusty glass cases. I walked in for the AC and maybe a little small talk while my latte finished up. Didn't expect a crowd, and definitely didn't expect everyone to be hovering around the Ruger section. It wasn't hype, more like a low hum. Some rancher in a beat-up Carhartt was telling the clerk, "Bought one for my wife, ended up keeping it myself." A nurse was there too, swearing her Max 9 rode in her scrubs every night shift. Even the owner, guy's been packing for 40 years, shrugs and says, "Holy shit, I carry it too." Peer pressure isn't supposed to work at my age, but geez, I caved and grabbed one off the shelf just to see what the fuss was about. Later, at the range, I half-expected regret. Waiting for a jam or some cheap feeling to ruin it. Didn't happen. The thing just ran. Sometimes, the quietest gun in the room ends up being the one you keep. Makes you wonder, how many boring guns are actually the real answer? But the next pistol never let me get too comfortable. Every range trip turned into a new test. And somehow, it just kept asking for more. Some nights you just stare at the ceiling, thinking about all the dumb trades you almost made. The Springfield Hellcat Pro was right at the top of that list for me. There was a week last year I nearly let it go. Posted it online, even shot a few texts to buddies, convinced myself I needed something fresher. New year, new pistol, right? The deal never went through. Buyer flaked. My gut wouldn't settle. So the Hellcat ended up riding along to a late winter range trip I wasn't even excited for. That day, everything that could go wrong did. My backup pistol ate a spring. Another mag split wide open. By lunch, I was stuck with the one gun I'd almost traded for nothing. I ran the Hellcat Pro hard. Steel case, dirty range bags, no special treatment. It didn't blink. Every string, every drill, just kept coming back ready. I felt a knot in my gut for almost giving up the only thing that stood by me when everything else fell apart. Some regrets never really leave, no matter how lucky you get. And sometimes the pistol you nearly threw away is the one that proves you wrong the loudest. Taurus had burned me before. The G3C was supposed to be a people's champ. Cheap, compact, hyped all over YouTube. What I got was a mess of jams, stovepipes, and swearing at the bench. I nearly tossed the thing in the trash. After that, I'd sworn off Taurus for good. Wouldn't even slow down by the case at my local shop. But then there's always that salesman, the one who sees you hovering and won't leave you alone. Trust me, he says, sliding the GX4 XL across the counter. This one's different. Taurus finally got it right. I almost laughed in his face. I figured I'd buy it just to prove him wrong. Maybe flip it and cut my losses. Except I never got the satisfaction. Range day after range day, the GX4 XL just ran. No drama, no mystery malfunctions, no shame walking back to the car. It wasn't flashy, and I sure wasn't bragging about it, but it refused to let me down. I don't know if I'll ever forgive Taurus for the G3C, but the GX4 XL? It's the first time I've carried a Taurus without waiting for it to fail. That's worth more than hype. Out here, a truck isn't a status symbol. It's your rolling office, toolbox, and lunchroom all in one. I've lost count of how many guns I've seen vanish under a bench seat or rattle around in a glove box while someone fixes a fence or hauls feed. The Beretta APX A1 carry slipped into my routine the same way. It wasn't a prize or a brag, just another tool tossed into the cab, sometimes forgotten for weeks. Most folks around here don't baby their truck guns. You'll find dust, coffee stains, a dent or two. The APX has seen triple-digit heat, freezing dawns, and that special kind of red Texas dirt that sticks to everything. More than once, I've fished it out, wiped it off on my jeans, and run a handful of rounds just to make sure nothing's rusted shut. Not once has it failed. Not from neglect, not from a drop mag, not from being bounced on a gravel road. You won't hear anyone brag about their truck gun at the range. It's not about pride, it's about trust. If there's a pistol still worth carrying in 2026, it's the one you never have to think about. The APX A1 carry just works, but not every gun gets to hide. The next one had to stand its ground with every eye watching. Mistakes and all. There's a local range in Fort Worth where reputations matter, almost as much as targets. The regulars show up with the same approved pistols, Glocks, Sigs, and a handful of dusty 1911s. When I walked in with the HKV P9, you could feel the temperature drop. Nobody said it straight, but the looks were loud enough. Why'd you bring that Euro range toy? Drills started, and the pressure wasn't subtle. Someone cracked a joke about plastic guns for plastic shooters. Even the range boss, a guy who's been teaching since the 90s, asked if I brought a backup just in case. Every set of eyes tracked the VP9. Timed draws, reloads, even malfunction clears. I knew they were waiting for something to go wrong. Some slip they could pin on the gun, but the HK just worked. Clean hits, fast strings, no drama. When it was over, nobody cheered or slapped me on the back. There was just a nod from the boss, and a few of the old-timers gave the pistol a second look. Carrying a VP9 in a room like that isn't about blending in. It's about standing there, letting your own skill answer the doubts, and watching the crowd fall quiet when the gun keeps up. Last year, I visited a friend's ranch in Arizona, out in the middle of nowhere, heat and dust for miles. I just vouched for the Masada Slim to my buddy. You want something you can trust? Run this. That's a promise. And out there, gear failure isn't just embarrassing, it's a real problem. By midday, we were sweaty, sunburned, and working with dust in everything. We ran drill after drill, and my friend was watching, waiting to see if the Slim would choke after all that online trash talk. I felt that pressure. If it jammed, my word was on the line. But the Masada Slim never flinched. No jams, no grit, not even after it took a spill in the dirt. I kept running it, and my buddy's eyebrow went up just a little every time it fired clean. It hit me. Trust isn't just about specs or what runs on a good day. It's what you're willing to stake your name on when it matters. That's why, even now, the Masada Slim's still worth carrying. The next gun on my list? Let's just say, if you've ever gambled on a favorite and felt the stakes climb with every shot, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a stretch last year when my usual carry was out for repairs. and the only thing left in my safe was the CZ75 SP01. Solid gun, but it's no one's idea of easy to carry. Heavy as a brick, long in the grip, and impossible to forget on your belt. I told myself it was fine, that I'd make it work for a week, but every day I felt off. Getting in and out of the truck, shifting at the gas station, feeling the whole grip print through my shirt. One night, I stopped for gas way out on the edge of town, middle of nowhere, a couple sketchy cars in the lot. That's when it really hit me. If something went sideways, I was counting on a pistol I barely practiced with outside the range. My hand kept drifting to it, wondering if I'd fumble the draw or if all that weight would slow me down when it mattered. Nothing happened. I got back in the truck and headed home, but the feeling stuck. The SP01 did its job, but I never shook the doubt. I still keep it close, but every time I strap it on, I remember what compromise actually feels like. Right after the New Year's bash, me and my buddy hit up our local range. Still chilly, coffee in hand, and he's giving me a hard time. Man, it's 2026. Who still carries a CZ75? I just grinned and handed over my FN Reflex MRD instead. Try this. Tell me you don't feel the difference. He put a few mags through it, eyes narrowing, running his own drills. A week later, I get a text. He bought his own Reflex. Carrying it daily now, thanks to you. That's the kind of message that hits different. It's not just about the gun anymore. It's about the trust he put in my advice. If that pistol ever let him down, I'd be the one who feels it, not just him. Every time I see him holstering that Reflex, it's a little reminder that recommending a carry gun isn't just shop talk. It's a real responsibility. The FN Reflex MRD is still worth carrying. Not just because it's never failed me, but because now my name is on the line too. But when it comes to putting everything on the line, your trust, your safety, your reputation, there's one pistol that stands above the rest. And for me, that's where the stakes are highest. Most mornings before the world wakes up, I'm at the safe, half awake, light, barely on, just running the same old routine. It's not a ceremony, just habit. There are a dozen options inside, lined up by size, weight, whatever mood I think I might have, but my hand always goes to the X-Macro, even when I don't mean to. I've told myself to switch it up, carried bigger, flashier pistols, talked myself into something better, but it never sticks. I end up tucking the X-Macro inside the waistband before I head out, whether I'm running errands or driving 1,000 miles. It's not about the specs or the trigger feel. It's about how steady it feels in my hand. How it's become the baseline for every other gun I own. I don't brag about it. I don't have to explain it. It just is. Sometimes I wonder if the X-Macro ever failed me, if it ever let me down when it counted, what would that say about how I judge risk or who I think I am? That question's always in the back of my mind. Maybe that's the real reason I reach for it. Everyone's got a baseline. This one's mine, for better or worse. Most mornings before the world wakes up, I'm at the safe, half awake, light barely on, just running the same old routine. It's not a ceremony, just habit. The Tisas PX9 duty isn't a gun I'm sentimental about. There's no backstory, no tradition, just a bargain I picked up on a whim. It's never been my first pick, and I don't find myself reaching for it when it's time to carry. But over time, I've watched it do its job, quietly, without drama. For the price, it does more than most expect, outlasting a few name brands when things get rough. If someone asks what to buy on a tight budget, this is what I recommend. It's reliable, straightforward, and easy to keep running. Not a pistol you bond with, but one you end up respecting for showing up and putting in the work. Not every gun needs to be a favorite. Sometimes good enough is exactly what you want. The PX9 duty proves you don't have to spend big to get something you can count on. And that's a kind of value I can't ignore. Some regrets you carry for years. Every pistol here cost me something. Cash, pride, even a few friendships. Not a single one made this list for clout or clicks. They're here because I've got the scars to prove it. I'll be honest, some nights I still doubt a couple of these picks. Some trades never stopped stinging. If you've ever talked up a pistol you hated or kept quiet about a deal that went sideways, this is your call out. Drop your own pain below. The story you hope nobody brings up at the range. Don't hide behind the safe choices. If you're still hanging on to that one mistake, say it out loud. The debate's not over, and I'm still paying for my misses. I'm Steve, and yeah, I never learned the easy way. Let's see if you have.